Hey, and I'm back now. This is part 2 of how to use a fast frame and why why I'm actually doing this video. There's a lot of people that are just wondering, like, what are these? Why are we using them? And etc. So anyway, I'm going to step aside. I want you to be able to see the machine and hear me. You don't really need to see my face while I'm talking about this. But one thing I want to point out why this is so important to do, like check your corners and stuff, is because for me, now this is my personal preference, I enjoy stitching larger designs on small shirts. So for example, if I have an 18-month shirt and I can put a 5x7 design on that shirt with a name, I like that. I like the bigger designs. I like the style. I think it's cute. And that's just my personal preference. However, when you have that design in your frame, because you've picked that in your embroidery system before you even got to the, so you know it fits in the frame. You know it does. So anyway, you have very little space on the edges to deal with. And so that's why this is so important. You don't want to be clipping that needle to the metal. So one thing that I've done, I've got my stylist here. I've got my design up in my screen. And again, I'm using the PR Brother 1000E. It's a 10 needle with a camera. If you don't have a camera, set this up however you use your multi-needle machine. It'll work the same, I'm sure. I hit Edit In. From there, I'm going to use my camera button. There's a camera button with an hourglass, and I actually just hit OK. I click that. I tap on that. My idea is to find my next move for me is I move my arrows to where my dot is on my shirt. I'm finding my center. So, my center mark. And let me see if y'all can see that dot. I don't know if y'all can see this little speck right in there. And I'm just going to put my stylist on it. What I need to do, I move my cross over. The cross actually is going to sit right on top of that dot. And so let me just get that. It takes just a minute to do that. Okay, so now I've got my cross on my dot, and this is my center dot. I've got it all centered. The next thing you're going to do, there's a button at the bottom here. It says memory, and right next to that button, now it may be your left. You might be looking at this the opposite direction. But to my right, there's a button, and it looks like squiggly lines with a stylist or needles. It'd be the sign of a needle down, needle up on the top corner. Just press on that, and in that next screen is going to have a box. It's going to have two boxes, and I use the box that's nearest to the machine. Just keep that in mind. I was told when I was doing this, he said when I talked to Matt when I was doing my lessons, he did not have me do anything to the right side of the box. So he said just fiddle with this one. Don't worry about the other one. You can look up the manual. So anyway, okay. So I don't deal with that, and I've never had any trouble with this particular method. So anyway, you can see that my box is highlighted blue in the center. Real important before I go any further on my method of this is that before you leave the screen, once you know that everything is going to fit properly, that is centered, that make sure you highlight that center again. So in other words, when you've checked that, don't forget and leave it in that and then close out, because then you're not going to be starting your design on center. And I don't know what that'll do because I've not done that. But that was something he really stressed. One thing you also want to make sure is that your shirt stays underneath the little throttle plate under here where the embroidery thread hangs, bobbin thread hangs. So just make sure that when you're moving this around, your shirt does not get away from that. If it gets stuck up underneath the shirt, obviously it's going to stitch. Okay, so back to what we're doing. So I moved to my center. So now what we're going to do, now I'm on center. Now what I like to do is I go up to the top. I go up to the top and I find my cross with my stylist. Now my cross with my stylist is here. And my frame is, actually, where this is placed right now, I would actually have to move this shirt down. But because you can see, I hope you can see this, my cross is landing right on my fast frame. So, and again, I don't have this shirt this shirt is not placed on here to be stitching on. I just did a fake setup. So anyway, it's on there. But that gives you a good realization that, hey, this cross is landing on the metal. So that means, hey, my needle is going to hit that. I have to readjust the shirt. That's why it's important to make sure you haven't really stuck this down to this sticky paper, because once it's sticky. It is very sticky paper, more so than you think it is. So let's just go down to the bottom. I always check my bottom mark. And I can show you another example of this right here that you know that's going to be a good stitch out, okay? That my stylus is up here on my cross. My finger is down here on the frame. Now, if the cross had landed like, you know, way down here, you know, you want to be careful. But the cross is here. So we know that I have like 2 or 3 finger spaces between the cross and the fast frame. I have plenty of room to stitch this design. And I'm just going to lower this down a little bit so you can see a little bit more. See, what I do is I gaze my space. I use one hand, my right hand, with my stylus. I'm right-handed. So if you're left-handed, I would assume you do it the other way. But I'm right-handed, so I use my stylus on my cross, my center mark, where it's going to be placed, where the stitch is going to be placed. And then on my left hand, I just rub my hand right along that frame, right the edge of that frame. And I can see that I have plenty of space. There's nowhere near that that's going to hit. And then if, you know, if your design's kind of large, then you would want to come over here to the edge. And again, I have plenty of space here. But we do know that the top of the design, of this particular design, the way that it's hooped, is going to have to be readjusted. Because even though the bottom's going to fit, the top is not going to fit at all. And I would just have to unscrew it and then take it off and then just, you know, bring the shirt back down again and so on. So, and that's all you have to do. You know, if you feel more comfortable going from all sides, do it. You know, I've gotten to where now I can kind of judge it by design size. If you know you're doing a tiny little J, then obviously that tiny little J is probably not going to be on the center left or right sides. I mean, you know, it's going to fall in the center of your design. But hey, do whatever you have to do to ensure that those needles aren't, it takes you less than a second to just push a button and, hey, I feel comfortable. I can do this design without it hitting my fast frame and breaking my machine, because we all know these machines are not cheap. And who wants to pick it up and haul it somewhere when you don't have to? So, so anyway, you know, that's all I have to do. I mean, that's all it is. It's just making sure that you feel the edge of the frame. You have a fingernail, you know, a finger width space between the cross stitch out, where the stitch out's going to be, versus the frame. And as long as you have about a finger width space, you're good. I mean, you don't have to have 2 or 3 finger spaces. One little finger space is plenty of room there. And if you don't, then you just need to take your shirt, raise it up, bring it down, whatever direction, you know, you feel you need to go in order to get that right. So anyway, so fast frames are really easy, and they are the best thing to machine embroidery that has come along. I love it. You know, I hope I have helped you all. I have received a lot of help in my learning in this craft. It is, people think, oh, you know, you can just stitch something on there. Well, you can't just stitch something on here. There's a lot of creativity that goes into doing machine embroidery, from picking out the design to picking out the colors of the fabric, getting it lined up in your embroidery program, and so on. So, you know, there's a lot of important steps that even get there. You know, there can be an hour or 2 of work. I mean, it really can be a long process before you even get to the final stage of stitching it out. And you sure don't want to ruin your item after you've worked so hard to get it there. So, you know, I hope this video was helpful. Leave me feedback. You know, it is my first video after all, so don't judge me on it. And hopefully eventually I'll get a little bit better with this. So I hope I've helped. Bookmark me. Look me up on Facebook. I love to help people. I come from a family of teachers, so I thoroughly enjoy helping others. I know how hard it can be and frustrating it can be to try to find a quick answer. And so whatever I can do to help you, I'll be glad to do that. Thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.